A-Train Station has a feature that makes old school odd screens look like old school typewriters. Want to learn more? Check out this video. Welcome to The Advantage. I'm A-Train Bets. I use my brain to make bets. Now in this video, we're going to talk in detail about a feature at A-Train Station that no one else has. This is custom line uploads. And what that means is that if you're an originator or you're coming up with your own numbers, that's what an originator is. They're coming up with their own lines, just like a sportsbook. A sportsbook comes up with their own lines. If you're a person who runs a model or has a perception of what's going to happen in any sporting event, you can now in A-Train Station upload that and find all the plays that you can get an advantage based on that information that you have. This truly enables hybrid sports betting because all the other tools out there, Leroy's discount odds and all the this number is bigger types of tools, they are all focused on what's called top-down analysis, positive EV analysis. They're looking at markets, they're looking for arbitrage, they're looking for price differentials. And those books are so stupid. That's not this. This is us saying, okay, well, you know what? There is market information. That's where A-Train Station started. There's market information. That's how we can find some plays from a top-down perspective. Looking at the market, that's the top. Looking down, that's the top down, right? That's fine. That's what A-Train Station started with. But we also know the best bettors in the world, they're not doing that. They're not carving out 1% edges. It's a pretty basic bottom feeder strategy that any asshole in a dorm room can do. You want to do more if you are serious about sports betting. So what we said was, well, what is that? What is the problem with the way people do it right now? Well, right now, people that have models come up with their numbers, and then they go hunt and peck. Like it's the 1980s. They're hunting and pecking in these odd screens. They're like, where's the bigger number? I'm like, wait a second. We already do that. Why don't we just let you upload your lines? Why don't we let you just tell the station what you're looking for? You do that, it'll make it easy. So that's what we're going to do. And I'll show you an example today. Okay, so that's what this is all about. However you get to that perspective, separate video. And I'll cover how I get to that perspective in a separate video once I figure that out. But the functionality is there today. All right, so let's get into it. So at A-Train Station, this is our custom upload page. This custom lines upload page is where you will enter that information, okay? And there's a few different ways you can do that. There is a line upload template where if I click on this, I can go to the line upload template and it's right here. You're gonna wanna save it as your own Google Sheet and edit it from there. I'll show you what I've done. I've created a demo one for this purpose. So we've got the core information, but in that line upload template, it has an explanation of all the valid values and things like that, because there is a program here that's going to be mapping that stuff, but we're going to make it easy for you. So watch this. So I have a file here. We're going to choose file. And I have a file here. I call it A-Train Originates, like A-Train Bets. I'm clever. But we have that file. I'm going to upload it. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm uploading the whole thing. It's a big ass file. Watch. And we're going to focus on these top two lines today. I'm going to show you what you can do in different ways you can bring that in. But this file's got a ton of information. It's thousands of lines long because it's generated from a program that I wrote that has a different that has a model behind it that spits out all these numbers. Again, separate video for that. Okay, so we're going to take those. I'm going to get rid of that. We're going to take those and we're going to start back here. So instead of looking at this, and we could look at this and find all the plays for today, that's what I'll do later. And the only errors, these errors are just because in the station, we basically only go through events that we have book lines for, not just the custom lines. We're going to be enabling features that allow you to wait on these additional lines. That's coming very soon. But that way you can get alerts when those new lines drop. And so you can be first to market as soon as that line becomes available. And if it's different than what your model says it is, boom, baby, you're going to be first to market because you're going to get a notice when that happens. So that's coming soon at A-Train Station. But in the meantime, let's talk about a particular play. So those top two lines, I've now brought into this file. So all I did was I copied them into this. In your copy of the Google Sheet, you can edit this and put whatever you want in here alongside what the data mappings are and the team codes are. And we have an example so you can kind of build from that. So we try to make it easy. And again, if you're coming up with your own numbers, you're going to need to have that perspective. You don't just get to shop for show me the best picks and I'll take those plays. What you need are the ability to set whatever you want, and then that mashes up with what's at the station and what we have from all the sports books that we see. So here, what we're saying, Major League Baseball, May 8th is when we're doing this. Atlanta's the home team, Cincinnati's the away team. It's not a doubleheader. It's a head-to-head play, i.e. money line. Market, head-to-head, H2H, and we have that all listed out here in the data mapping, so you'll understand what that is. Selector and point aren't necessary in this because there's not additional details, but this is where you're going to see like the number of run differential and spreads, or the number on a total, things like that. And then selector could be, if you're doing a team total, which team is it? Because this gives you the game information. Again, we can happily walk you through all those details. I don't want to get too bogged down in those details for this. I'm going to give you a sense of the kind of functionality you should be demanding from your Sharp sports betting software. Let's pull that off for a second. So the win percentage here is the 0.1434, 0.58, those line up to exactly 1. Now, the important part of this is the fact that, well, there's two sides to any market. If you are drawing, this is the key, if you're drawing a true no-vig line, this is a point of truth. The beauty of a Sharp sports bettor who's doing bottom up, there's no vig here that we're trying to de-vig. We're not trying to guess at where between these two odds these truth numbers are. You can just specify it. I've done my analysis. I've run my projections. Here's where I think the middle ground is. And so then as any price in the market sways from either side of that, you have a potential edge. And that allows you to find things that you just wouldn't be able to find with a traditional top-down approach. There's too much margin of error because of the hold in the book lines that we have to de-vig. Here, you don't have to do that. So there's a lot of power in developing a model. Now, if you can make a good model, then there's a lot of power. Make a bad model, you're just guessing at stuff. So the key to this is that if I want to bet Atlanta or Cincinnati, the important thing here isn't who I like in the way I've done the model. Right? The important thing isn't whether I'm picking ATL or Cincinnati here. The important thing is, what do I think the likelihood of winning of either of those teams are? And when I'm creating a model, when I'm creating my own lines, that's the information that's relevant to then making a bet later. I don't know where the market is. I don't know where the value is going to be. But I do know, I think, based on my lines in the model today, I think Cincinnati as the away team, see the side here? 0.413, so they've got about a 41% chance of winning today. The home team, Atlanta, 0.58. So to me, that's about, well, okay, we'll go and see what the prices are. We're going to do that in a second. All right, so I've saved just a couple things. Now, normally my model file's huge, but for the examples here, we're going to do this. So I've already queued up an adjusted search to try to find plays where this might make sense. So I've set this so that hopefully we find plays. I don't know if we're going to try it. Let's hit apply. Look at this. All right, so Cincinnati Reds and Atlanta Braves. Cincinnati Reds, a two-way money line. Look at all these different plays we have. We can bring this up into the search, and all we said, this is the first play in my actual model for today. What we're saying is, hey, we think this should be at 141.9. So the 141.9 is where we draw that no-vig line. Again, we don't have to de-vig things, so there's no margin here. There's no, if you're used to the station, we have a de-vig range because we're not sure exactly where between those odds the books do. And that's why you use different de-vigging methodologies and whole thing. There's other videos on that. But here we don't have that constraint. Now there is a margin of error, so you want to make sure you're getting a decent amount of percentage here. But you can see, look at all this. The market has moved to one side. We are finding Cincinnati to be the value. Well, this is the two-step process. I have a model. It gave me a perspective on truth. Then by plugging into the station, I didn't have to unpack for anything. I just got to bring up, where's the play? Well, now based on my model, if my model is accurate, which it may not be, still early days for my model, but if my model is accurate, I feel pretty good about this plus 172, right? So that's the key. So I'd go make this play at no-vig or wherever I want to, right? And you can see we have, at the station, we have some information. This is a little bit cluttered because the hold is so small, but you can see, 28, 34, 92, that's how much is available on those sides of the play. So you might want to think about that. And in this example, there's been a lot of line movement, so everything's kind of condensed. But this is the kind of power that A-Train Station gives you. So this is something like, all this is, what this really is about taking the books and the customizable book weighting. Some places will let you choose from 3 Sharp books. Well, you can set anything you want at A-Train Station. And all you have to do to have your own set of lines, and whether or not they come from you or they come from another book, because you could have a hold in there just like a sports book would. All you have to do is use this custom, upload custom lines feature, and you can bring it in. So that to me is so powerful. If you're a bottom up better, and you're still hunting and pecking, think about all the time wasted, all the energy of just looking and cross-referencing numbers. Forget it. Upload your line so that you can use it. Nobody else can use it. Just you. Use those lines and then use it alongside sharp books, because you don't just have to do it. My example back here, my example was just with my individual custom lines. And that's usually how I use it, because I just want to see that pure view. But because your custom lines basically get treated like another sharp sports book, you can have this custom lines weight alongside the weightings you might want to have for a Pinnacle, right? Or for a bookmaker, Circa, whatever. And that is such power, because now you can blend different perspectives of truth into a point of view that allows you to attack these markets and make your sports bets. This is the kind of power that we give you at A-Train Station that nobody else has. And it's a different game. This is a thinking person's game. The whole point to sharp sports betting is to identify edges and then capitalize upon them. And we know that some of the basic strategies, this number is bigger kind of thing, they're going to go away, just like they went away in stock market trading. These things get more complicated over time. They get faster. You need to have a depth of analysis that puts you ahead. There's an information game at play. And if you have the best information, you have the best analysis, you are going to win. And that is what we focus on. So when you can do your own lines coming from a totally different source of truth, you now have a unique advantage and a potential to take this fight to the books in ways you never could with any other tool. And that is why we did it, because we know that there's a need out there for the sharpest sports bettors in the world to have the most powerful tools, the most powerful analysis to drive the best betting strategies there can be. And you should be part of that too. So thank you for watching. We'll have more videos on this subject. We'll use more examples. I'm definitely creating a lot more content around the videos and the shorts. We'll have some more live streams too at some point, but right now we're trying to just complete the view of what's going on at the station and what are the things, even if you're not going to be a station member, what are the things that you should be thinking about in your own sharp sports betting journey. So thank you for joining me on this one. Until next time, save the units for the bros. Do your betting like the pros. The A-Train Station. We'll see you soon. Thanks.